Hey hi everyone, this is Mukesh Otwani once again from learn-innovation.com. Today in this lecture we are going to talk about loops in JavaScript. Okay, so we are going to talk about different type of loops. So watch the video till the end because in this video we'll discuss about for loop, for off, for in, while loop, continue, break, okay, and the different examples we will be taking. So after this video you will have enough understanding how this loops concept work in JavaScript. So before we start this video, let's talk about what exactly is loop. Okay, now if you talk about, not only JavaScript, any programming language you take, loop is nothing but set of statement, or I will say block of code that will get executed number of times, depends on what condition you are giving, right? Or in more simple way, I would say anything which is repeated in nature, you can keep within loop. Okay, for example, if I have to mail 100 students or 100 friends, that can be done in a loop. I will take email address one by one, template will be same, right? Subject will be same. I will just replace the first name, last name, and I will keep sending email, right? Or let's say I have to call my friends 100 times, or 100 different friends I have to call. It can be done in a loop. But when it comes to programming, we'll see in a different way how this loop can help. To be more precise, when we'll go to automation side, we will be dealing with multiple web elements, right? In that case, we will be using these loops to iterate web elements one by one, and then we'll perform operations. It can be type, click, get text, it could be web scraping, anything depends on a requirement. So I already have created one JavaScript file which is loops demo. If you want to create from the scratch, just create a new file, just give any name followed by .js. Okay, so let me open this and let's write our first loop in JavaScript. The moment you type for keyword, you can see we are getting list of options. So if you go with the standard for loop, you will get the syntax, right? Now you might feel little complicated because if you are starting from the scratch, but basically it consists of three things. You can see this is basically the initialize part, then your condition and increment decrement. So let me remove this. Let me write everything from the scratch. So we are going to use one keyword called for keyword. Okay. And then I'm going to give a pair of parentheses, and let me start and end here. Now within this for, we have three things. One is first of all initialize. So I'm going to initialize one variable called x equal to 0. It means our loop will start from 0. Then we have to give the condition when this loop will end, right? We have to start, we have to end. So I will give end this loop when the value will reach less than 10, like the moment it will reach 10, it should stop. So it will run from 0 to 9. And then how this value will be incremented or decremented. So the third part is either increment or decrement. So I will say x plus plus. This is the basic syntax. So basically it will start from 0. Then it will check 0 is less than 10. Then it will execute this piece of code. So let me write console.log as of now. And let me print the value is, I will just give x. Fine. So when you run this program, it will start from 0 is less than 10, yes, then this will print 0, then it will execute x plus plus, then it will become 1 is less than 10, yes, then it will print 1, then it will execute again x plus plus, it will become 2 less than 10, and it will continue. The moment it will reach 9 less than 10, yes, it will print 9. But the moment it will increment to 10 less than 10, and it will, fail this condition, and it will come out of this for loop. So let me run this program. As usual, I will say node, then I will write loops demo.js, and you can see it is printing from 0 to 9, okay, which is as expected, 0 to 9. This is the very basic example which is starting from 0 and it is ending till 10. Okay. Now if you make it less than equal to, then definitely it will also print 10 because the last condition is also getting evaluated. So in the last iteration it was less than 10, so it was printing till 9. The moment I said 10 less than equal to 10, it is printing 10. Now if I say start from 2, then again you will see some minor changes in the output. Instead of 0, it is starting from 2 to 10. So it's up to you how you want to change this. Fine. Now let me make few more changes. Now let's say you don't want to go in a forward direction, you can also go in a reverse direction. For example, you want to start from 10, okay, and you want to keep on running till it reaches 0, and every time you want to just do the decrement part. Again, don't get confused because now we're using let, so the scope of this x is only till here, so this will get end here, and second for loop again we can use x because let works on the scope based. So again, if you run this, so it will start from 10, it will print 10, then it will say okay 10 is greater than 0, yes, and it will print 10. Then it will start from again it will do 10 minus 1, which is 9, 9 is greater than 0, yes, and it will continue. So let me do this, let me make it 100, okay, so that you can see the different output. Let me run this, okay, and you can see. So basically the first loop started from 0 to 10, right? Then the second loop started from 100 to 1. Okay, so I hope you got the point. So let me make it 10 and let me keep it till 5 so that you can differentiate the output. Now if you don't want only by 1, you can jump by 2, jump by 3, it's totally up to you. Okay, so let's say I want to start from 0. Let me comment this code. Okay, this anyways we are done, so let me comment this code. So now let's say I want to start from 0 and I want to reach till 100, but this time I want to jump by 2. Okay, so I can say x equal to x plus 2. So now if you see the output, okay, so you can see it's let me clear it, the previous output, I'll let it once again. So you can see 0, 2, 4, 6 because it started from 0, 0 is less than 100, yes, then x plus 2, it is basically 0 plus 2, which is 2, 2 less than 100, it will print 2, 2 plus 2, 4, and it will continue. So it's, you can see it's a table of 2. In a similar way, if I say 3, you will see the jump by 3. Okay, 0, 3, 6, 9 and so on. So basically the main reason to show you that there's no restriction that you have to go by 1 or you have to decrement by 1. You can jump with 1, 2, 3, depends on a requirement. Now let me show you some different syntaxes which you will see over the internet. Now if you don't want to keep this initialize part here, you can keep it outside as well. Okay, so let me again make it 10 and let me keep it simple x plus plus. So now if you don't want to keep this part here, you can remove from here and you can keep it here as well. Okay, so in this case now I will make it y is less than 100 and let's say y plus plus. So this is also acceptable. It is just you need to put this semicolon. Okay, so even though you are declaring here, you can use it here. And now let's print this. I will say y value is here and I don't want to run till 100. I will say 0 to 20. That's more than enough. So the moment you run this, so the first loop, okay, let me clear it, previous one. Yes, so first loop, if you just come here, it started from 0 to 10, then the second loop started from 0 to 20. Now you will also see another syntax that if you don't want to keep this part here, you can keep it here as well. Okay, because ultimately if you see after executing your complete code, it is going to the increment and decrement part, right? So if you don't want to keep your decrement here, you can keep just the last line of your code as well. Okay, so if you see this kind of weird syntax, do not get confused. If you see we are still using semicolon here, we are still using semicolon here. Now let me comment this code again and let me show you now this loop with array. Okay, so guys, in case if you're new to the array, if you have not seen my previous videos where we discussed about array objects, please go ahead and watch, because in that videos we discussed everything about array in detail. So in this example, I'm going to create a small array, then we will try to iterate it. Okay, so suppose I'm going to create another array and I will say ARR. Now I can have any type of value, but just to keep it simple, I will just have some numbers. And now if I want to iterate this loop, okay, so again I will say for, and let me start this loop from 0, and I will go till the length of this array. So I will say x less than equal to arr. Now if you see dot, we can get the length of this array. Okay, so if I just say length, and every time I will go with x plus plus. Now if I want to iterate this, we have seen this earlier, that in order to access the array value, we are going to use a bracket symbol, and then we have to provide the index. So how it will work, it will start from 0. 0 is less than arr dot length, length is 3. So basically this will be replaced with 3. So it will say arr 0, which is 12. Then x plus plus, which is 1. 1 is less than 3 years, and it will replace by 1. So this basically for loop will iterate these array values. So if you want, let me print this. I will say array values, or maybe I will keep it here. Okay, now I will show you the different ways to access this array, but this is the standard for loop. Now we are using with array. The moment I run this, you can see 12, 20 and 56. Now even if I add some other data type, let's say I want to add a string, let's say I'm adding a string, then let's say I'm adding some boolean values, you will see this for loop will run, because we are just giving the index and we are able to retrieve, right? Now let me show you another method. The moment you put arr dot, you can see we have something called forEach method. So basically what it does, it will perform the specified action on each element inside an array. Okay, so as of now you can see we have 5 elements, right? So if I want to perform any operation on each element, I can do with the help of forEach. So basically it accepts a callback function which can accept up to 3 arguments. Okay, so what exactly it will do, for each calls the callback function one time for each element in the array. Okay, so you'll get to know this callback function, slowly once you move ahead. For the time being, it will take one element one by one from array, and it will perform certain operation. As of now, I will just take the element and I will print it, but once you move ahead, we will perform some operation. Okay, it could be your web element, then we can perform some type click operation. But if it is some other web element, depends on the nature of the element, you can perform other operations. So the moment I say for each, okay, now the moment I put parenthesis, you can say it is accepting callback function. Now I'm going to use one arrow function here. Okay, in case again if you're new to this arrow function, then in the last video we discussed arrow function. Please go ahead and watch. So I'm going to reuse one random name. Okay, I can give abcxyz. I'm just giving element, then I'm using arrow function. Okay, so this is my arrow function, and within this I will just simply print this value, whatever values we have, and I will say this is using for each. So the moment you run this, from this array it will pick first web element, okay, which will be stored in element. For the time being I'm just printing, but we can do any other operation. Then it will take second web element or second element from the array, and it will keep on running. So it's very easy. It is just syntax wise, you might have to use it multiple times and you will be habitual of this. So this is very handy when it comes to array, and we will be using a lot with WebDriver IO and the Cypress. So let me show you. Okay, if you just go with the, I will say standard, the syntax, you will get something like this. But let me write from the scratch. I will just type for, which is a keyword, then pair of parentheses. Now you can use any variable of your choice. Okay, let me take any variable. Let me give let, and I will say my arr values. Okay, then I will be using something called off, and I will give this arr, which we are using, right? This arr. So what I'm saying, I'm just using one variable which is type let, and this is my array. So what exactly it will do, each time it will take Okay, let me print this values first of all. Okay, the moment I type my ARR values, and let me just use it here called using for off. Can you see it is giving me the same value? See, ultimately at the end of the day we are iterating, right? I'm just telling you the different ways to iterate it. So output anyways will not change because our array is same. But if you notice the last 5 lines, it is taking one element from the array, storing into this, and it is giving me value. So 12, 20, 56, location true. But the moment you change this to in, okay, I told you, right, that in we will be using with objects, but let's say if you're using with array, you will see a different output this time. So it will return you index. Just keep this point in mind. This is the interview question as well, that what if I use for in with array? In that case it will return you index, but if you go with for off, it will return you the value. But if you still want to access the value using for in loop, then we know, right, how it works. So what we will do, so we can say like ARR, and this will return me index. So I will say my ARR values. So basically this is the array. Every time I will just pass the new index. You can see 0th index value 12, first index value 20, second 50, and so on. This is another way to access, but using for in. Okay, I don't want to confuse you guys. It is just a workaround if you still want to access, but in simple words, use for off when you have arrays. Otherwise, if you go with in, it will return you indexes. Clear enough? Let me take one more example. So let's say I have one string. Okay, let me take this string as Selenium WebDriver, any string of your choice. I'm taking Selenium WebDriver. Now if I go with for off again, so I can use again let. Again guys, if you don't want to give this let const var, that is also fine. You can directly say x of name. Okay, so let me use this first name because name is already reserved here. So this time if I try to print, can you guess the output? Okay, it's very straightforward. It will return you character by character. So from this string, what it did, actually captured s, okay, and it stored into x, and we are printing. So it is saying s, e, l, everything. Then it is even capturing this space, as you can see, and it is printing. So if you go with for off with string, it will return you character one by one. Clear? Now let me use for in. For that I need one object, right? So let me create one object. Let me clear this terminal. Just to create one object, I will use again let, and I will say this is my object, my obj, and let me create one object with some key values, okay, or I will say properties. So first I will say definitely my name. I can go with any name. Let me just go with my name as of now. Then I will be using something called marks. Let me give this marks as 50. Okay, and let me take one more, something called status equal to false. Okay, sorry for the syntax. Let me use this colon. So if I simply print this, I should get my actual object, which is my obj. Let me see. Okay, so now let me use for in. The moment you type for, you can see we have for in. So we don't have much difference. If you just see, instead of for off, this time it will say for in. Okay, initially it was for off right here, but now it is in. But if you see this syntax, you might get confused. So let me write the simplest one. So basically, if you notice, from object, every time it will return me the key, and if I want to access, I can just pass the object and the specific key. Okay, so let me remove this. Let's keep it little easier one. For pair of parentheses, let me use x again because I'm within this, and now I will use something called in, then one space, and give the object. Okay, in our case it is my obj. That's all. If you just want to print, let's do one thing. let's only print X and let's see what it returns. Okay, just notice guys, I'm printing only X value. Just notice the last three output, okay, because this is the older output. So the moment I print X, you can see it is printing only the key, right? Name, marks, status. It is not printing the actual values. So when you go with for in with object, every time it will return you the key, right? Now if I want to access the specific value, we know how it works. So we will use my obj, which is basically the object, and I will be giving this key. This is how we access the value, right, from the object that we discussed earlier. Pass the object, then in the bracket you have to pass the key. Now if you try to run this, name Mukesh, marks 50, status false, key value, key value, key value. So when you say for in, every time it will return a key. That key you can pass with object and it will give you the actual value. So do not get confused. For in we have used with objects, and for off we have used with arrays. Now let's talk about the while loop as well. Okay, so maybe I can create a separate file, or maybe we can write here itself. So while loop, again, it's very easy to use, and it will simply keep on running until a specific condition is not getting false. So let me type while. Okay, the moment you see this condition, so basically this piece of code will keep on running until this condition is true. So if you pass true here, it will run. So every time whenever you pass true, it will keep on running. So if I make it true, okay, and if I just say welcome to JS, okay, now notice the output. What I'm doing, I'm forcefully passing the true. So just notice the output. So it's an infinite loop now. Why? Because condition is always true, so it will keep on running. So it will not stop until you don't stop forcefully. So that's how this while loop works. So you need to give the condition when to stop. So as of now, I pressed Ctrl C from my keyboard and it stopped. So let's do this. I will write one small piece of code. Okay, the same example I will take, but this time I will be using with while loop. So I will use one variable, or maybe I will say sum equal to 5. Okay, and I will say if sum is less than 15, then simply print the sum value. Okay, I will say sum value, and I will simply print, let's say, sum. So basically it will start from here. Okay, sum equal to 5, 5 is less than 15, yes, it will print. Now if you again run this, you can see again it's an infinite loop, because every time 5 is less than 15, it will keep on running, right? So again we need to give some condition, right? So I will say every time sum plus plus, so basically it will increment by 1. So the moment it will say some value 5 plus 1 6 less than 15, yes, it will run. But the moment it will reach 15 less than 15, no, and it will come out of this while loop. So this time it will start from 5 and it will stop at 14, and if you keep sum is less than equal to 15, then yes, 15 will also be included here. Clear? Now here you can write, some, I will say, breaks, and you can also use something called continue. Okay, so if you just come here, we haven't discussed about this if else, but for the time being I will assume that you understand this. If I say sum is equal to 10, okay, in that case just break it. So there will be one point when value will be 10, and we will compare if it is equal to let me use triple equal to. Anyways, this is not required, but on the safer side I'm comparing. If it is equal to 10, break. The moment you say break, it will jump out from the current loops. It will come out of this while loop. Okay, just run it once again. So you will notice it started from 5, and the moment it reached 10, now 10 is equal to 10, it is breaking and it is coming out of this. Okay, just opposite to break, we have something called continue. So let me show you the output first, then you will understand how it works. Can you see? So what is happening here? Okay, again it is running in an infinite loop. Okay, and if it let me stop this. So actually it started from 5 less than equal to 15, and it was running till 10, right? 10 equal to 10 here, and the moment I say continue, it is not even running this, right? So again it went back 10 less than 15, and yes, again this condition is true, so it is never coming here. So break was basically coming out of this while loop, but the moment I say continue, it is again resuming this while loop. It was not executing, so it was not incrementing, so some value will be always 10, and it will keep on running in an infinite loop. So use it little carefully, use it little smartly, depends on the condition. You can use break and continue. Okay, so if I show you, let me keep it break here. Okay, and let me run this. Let me use this continue with a for loop so that you will have a clear idea. So I will start this, let's say loop from again 0. Okay, and I will run till less than equal to 10, and every time I will increment by 1. Fine, and I will write a small condition: if x equal to 4, then continue. Okay, and let me just use this x. The moment I run this, now if you notice the output, it is running till 3, right? Then the moment we say x equal to 4, the continue, it is continuing this for loop, it is not printing 4. So from 0 to 3 it worked. The moment it reached 4, the moment we say continue, it will resume again this for loop, it will not print. So 4 is not getting printed and is getting finished here. Okay, so now you got the difference, right? Break will terminate the current for loop or the current while loop, whatever loop you are using, and continue will break one iteration, in simple words. Okay, so before we end this video, I also want to cover do while loop. Okay, it's similar to while loop, but as the name says do, it will execute once. Okay, irrespective whether this condition is true or false. Okay, so as you can see, this do will always run, then the condition will be checked. So example, if I take one variable call, let's say let y equal to 10. Okay, and let me just print this, and let me print this value. I will say value is, let me print y. Okay, and I will say if y is less than 15, then continue this loop. So I will say y plus plus here. So let me show you how it will work. So it will start from 10, it will say value is 10, then value is 11, 11 is less than 15, yes, again it will print 11. Okay, again 12, 12 is less than 15, yes, and it will continue. So the moment I run this, you can see it's working, right? Now if I change this value to 100, so what will happen? It will say value is 100, 100 plus 1, 101, 101 is less than 15, no, and this will not run again. Okay, so if I just run this, but see the advantage of do while loop, do will always run whether this condition will evaluate to true or false, but if you just go with while loop, it will only run if the condition is true. So I hope it is clear now. So we started actually from the scratch. We discussed what is loop, how to write a basic for loop, then we have seen the different variations, right? Then we discussed how you can iterate a array using a standard for loop, using forEach. Then we discussed something called for off. Okay, for off with array. Then we discussed for off with string. Okay, then we discussed if we have an object, then you have to use for in. It will return your every time key, and if you want the value, you can pass the object followed by key. Then we discussed about while loop without break, while loop with break, while loop with continue. Okay, in a similar way we have seen for loop with continue. At last we discussed about do while loop. Okay, So I hope it is clear now. If you're still not clear with the loops in JavaScript, please let me know in the comment section and I will try my best to create one more video on this. That's all for this video, guys. In case if you're new to this channel, please subscribe this channel, and if this video helped you in any manner, okay, please subscribe this channel, share with your friends, colleagues, teammates, and if you have any other questions, please feel free to ask in the comment section or via email, and I will be happy to help. That's all from my side. I will see you in the next video. Have a nice day. Bye bye.